One of the world's most acclaimed filmmakers just handed creative direction to Sam Altman's company, and the entire entertainment industry barely blinked. Luca Guadagnino, the director behind Call Me By Your Name, Suspiria, and Bones and All, is officially collaborating with OpenAI on a major film project called Artificial. Now here's why this matters. This isn't a story about AI replacing artists. It's the complete opposite. It's about one of cinema's most respected voices deliberately choosing to work with this technology. Think of it like this: if the world's greatest chef suddenly started using a revolutionary new cooking tool, the entire culinary world stops and pays attention. They want to know what she's making. That's what's happening in Hollywood right now. The conversation has fundamentally shifted. It's no longer whether the film industry will use AI. That question's already settled. Now the real question is whether Hollywood can make genuinely great art with artificial intelligence. And when you get someone like Guadagnino exploring that question, the answer's starting to look like absolutely yes. For years, the entertainment industry treated artificial intelligence like an existential threat. Writers were terrified that algorithms would capture their voice and replace them. Actors fought back with contract language. Studios spent millions adding anti-AI clauses to every deal, trying to protect their talent and their revenue. The conversation was purely defensive. How do we stop this? How do we wall off our industry from this technology? But in the last 18 months, something shifted. The tools actually got good, really good. ChatGPT started helping screenwriters structure stories and break through creative block. Midjourney could generate concept art and storyboards in days instead of months. Text-to-speech technology improved enough to handle narration work. And here's the crucial moment: creative directors started asking themselves a different question. Instead of how do I stop this, they started wondering, what if I stopped fighting and actually experimented? What could I create if I used this as a tool instead of resisting it? That's where we are now. This isn't some experimental tech startup partnering with a second-tier studio. This is Luca Guadagnino, Golden Lion at Venice, multiple Best Picture nominations. He's not a tech enthusiast trying to go viral. He's a perfectionist who's willing to risk his reputation on this. So what exactly is Luca Guadagnino doing with OpenAI? The project is called Artificial, and it's a genuine film production, not a commercial or a proof of concept. An actual feature film. The partnership works like this: Guadagnino's creative vision drives everything. His story, his themes, his artistic direction. But ChatGPT and OpenAI's tools help him explore possibilities faster. Want to see what happens if a scene plays out 47 different ways? ChatGPT can generate dialogue variations in minutes. Need quick visual concepts for early sequences? You can generate dozens of storyboard mock-ups to show your cinematographer. Trying different emotional tones for a monologue. The AI becomes a collaborator that never gets tired and always generates options. Here's the key point, though: Guadagnino has final say on everything. He's the filter, he's the artist. ChatGPT is the tool, like a camera or a microphone. The film still goes through traditional production. Real actors, real cinematography, real editing. The AI doesn't replace any of that. It amplifies the creative process at the beginning. You start faster, you explore more possibilities, you make better creative decisions because you've seen more variations. It's not revolutionary. It's just smarter workflow. And when a director at Guadagnino's level adopts that workflow, every studio in Hollywood suddenly wants to know how he's doing it. Guadagnino isn't alone anymore. This announcement triggered something in Hollywood. Amazon, A24, Neon, and Mubi, some of the most prestigious studios in independent and art house filmmaking, are suddenly exploring similar partnerships. These aren't the mainstream blockbuster studios experimenting with this stuff for the first time. These are the exact studios that were most skeptical of AI. A24 has backed some of the most acclaimed films of the last decade. Neon put out Parasite. Mubi is the epicenter of art house cinema. When those studios start saying yes to AI integration, the industry consensus has fundamentally shifted. And it's not just directors anymore. Screenwriters are using ChatGPT to help with structure and dialogue polishing. Visual effects teams are using AI tools to speed up pre-visualization. Animation studios are using it for layout and storyboarding. The difference now is it's happening in the open instead of in secret. Before, Creatives were hiding their use of AI from studios because it was seen as cheap or artistically compromised. Now they are announcing partnerships proudly. That's a massive cultural change in how Hollywood sees this technology. Here's where this gets genuinely interesting. When digital cameras arrived in the early 2000s, filmmakers had the exact same resistance we are seeing with AI now. Why would I shoot digitally when film is so much better? Digital cameras are for amateurs. Film is the real deal. Now look at the Oscars. Most Best Picture nominees are shot digitally. Tarantino is one of the last major directors who insists on shooting on actual film. Everyone else switched because the tools got better and the workflow was more flexible. The same thing is happening with AI in creative tools. 5 years ago, it was pure skepticism. Now we're at the adoption phase. The top directors are experimenting. The major studios are green-lighting partnerships. In another 5 years, using AI as a creative tool will be completely normal, not controversial, just part of how filmmaking works. Think about it like editing. 100 years ago, editing felt like cheating. The purists wanted the long take. You should see everything in one unbroken shot. Then editing became this incredibly respected art form. Scorsese is a master editor. Now nobody questions whether editing is a legitimate creative tool. AI creative tools are on that same trajectory. The conversation will change from, is this authentic, to how is this being used? And that's what Guadagnino's partnership signals. We are moving to the how phase. Let's be honest about what people are actually worried about. It's not that AI is going to write bad movies. It's that AI might make certain creative jobs redundant. A screenwriter who gets paid to polish dialogue might get replaced by a ChatGPT iteration. A storyboard artist might get bypassed. A concept artist could see their work synthesized by an algorithm. Those fears are real and worth taking seriously. But here's what the Guadagnino partnership tells us. It's not working that way. He still needs writers on set. The dialogue ChatGPT generates is a starting point, not the final product. He still needs visual artists because taste and judgment matter in filmmaking. What's actually happening is the tool is changing what people do, not eliminating what they do. A screenwriter becomes more like a director of creative variation, choosing which versions are good, which directions work, which emotional tone feels right. A storyboard artist becomes someone who's managing dozens of AI-generated options and refining them into something great. The jobs change shape. Some get eliminated, but new roles emerge. That's how tools have always worked in creative industries. Photography was supposed to destroy painting. Instead, it freed painting to become abstract and experimental. AI tools won't destroy filmmaking. They'll change what filmmaking looks like. Some people will struggle with that transition. Some people will thrive. The industry will adapt like it always does. So if you're running a film studio right now, how do you actually implement this without destroying your creative culture? First, you start with the creative vision. The director's idea, the story, the emotional core that comes from humans. That always comes from humans. Then you use AI tools to accelerate the exploration phase. Want to see how this scene plays out if the character takes this route instead of that route? You generate 20 versions in a day instead of taking 3 weeks of table reads. You pick the 3 that resonate. Your actors perform those versions. You learn what works. You move faster. Second, you build human review into every step. Every output from the AI goes through the creative team. Is this good? Does this match our vision? Does this elevate our story? That filter is essential. The AI can generate 1,000 ideas. Your creative team picks the 100 that matter. Then you refine those 100 down to the 5 that are brilliant. Third, you're transparent about what's happening. You don't hide that you're using these tools. You put it in the credits. You talk about it in interviews. Because there's nothing shameful about using better tools. Directors have always used the best technology available. That's how filmmaking works. You use the camera, the lighting, the editing tools that let you tell your story. Now AI is another tool in that kit. Here's what you should take away from Luca Guadagnino partnering with OpenAI. The creative industries are officially past the resistance phase. The best filmmakers in the world are now experimenting with AI tools. They're not hiding it. They're announcing it proudly. That means AI-assisted creativity is becoming the new normal in Hollywood. Some films are going to be better because of this. Some are going to be worse. That's how it works with new tools. but the trajectory is clear. 5 years from now, most major films will involve AI creative tools somewhere in the pipeline. Your favorite filmmakers are probably already experimenting with this. So watch what Guadagnino makes. Pay attention to how it feels as a viewer. Does it feel authentic? Does it feel like genuine creative vision? Or does it feel AI-generated and hollow? That's the real test. Not whether AI is involved, but whether the final art is good. And that's a test that matters. What this moment really signals is that artificial intelligence is becoming just another tool in the creative toolkit. The question was never whether creativity would survive AI. Great artists have always found ways to use new technology to make better art. The question is whether you can spot the difference between a tool being used brilliantly and a tool being used lazily. That's the skill that matters now.